everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and today I'm here to show you how to make a Dutchdoor fancy fold card. So this is the card. Let me just pull my catalog away. I shared this card on my blog about a week ago, and I had lots of really positive feedback on it. And so I wanted to share how to make it, the measurements for it, that I actually will put in the below the video once I'm finished. But this would be a wow card. I would love to get a card like this coming in my mailbox, and yet it's really not that hard to put one of these cards together. Okay, so that's the card. Gonna make it just a little different, but you get the same idea. Now, I want to show you the products that I'm going to use because I absolutely love, of course I can't find it, there we are, the Trimming the Town suite, which starts on page 24 of the August to December mini catalog from Stampin' Up. It's such a pretty product suite and includes this Coming Home bundle. That is the Coming Home stamp set as well as the coordinating dies. So we're going to use those. What's really cool about this stamp set, it is part of the making a difference. If you purchase the stamp set, whether you buy it in the bundle or individually or as part of the entire product suite, Stampin' Up! Will donate $4 from every stamp set to charities devoted to adoption, foster care, and infertility. So it's a really cool way to give back a little bit and enjoy stamping. So that's the product I'm going to be using. Just set aside. All right, so I've pre-cut my paper. Oops, drop everything. But what I haven't done is done the scoring. So let's do that. So first of all, this is the main card base, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 9 inches, and you're going to score this. I'm using Poppy Parade. I absolutely love Poppy Parade. So you're going to score that at 3 1/2. And then the other piece I've cut is this is 2 inches wide by 8 1/2 inches. And this one is going to be scored at 2 1/8. Make sure I use my scoring blade. Let's extend my bar. So 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. Get that in the right spot. Right there. All right, so that's my scoring. Put that away. And I'm just going to take my bone folder and just give these folds just a little help with my bone folder, making sure you get a nice crease on them. And somehow I've got that going wrong. What did I do? I scored it at 2 1/2. So let's just take this. I'm going to just rescore. Sorry about that. So this should have been scored at 2 1/8, not 2 1/4. And then 6 3/8, which I clearly missed. Oh, that one's correct. All right, just one of them that I scored in the wrong spot. Okay, so that's corrected now. I know. Have you ever done that before? I'm sure. I certainly have done that. Now I just want to get the fold in the right spot. And again, there we go. Get a nice brush. That's better. That closes. All right, and then this one is going to fold down like this. Okay. So before I put these together, it actually is pretty easy to put these pieces together. So I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. You could use the Stampin' Seal Plus, but oops, my stars. You could use Stampin' Seal Plus, but I actually find this Stampin' Seal works well on cards. Stampin' Seal Plus is really useful if you're making, three-dimensional projects or boxes, for example. But for a card, this tends to hold just fine. You need a little bit more strength. Absolutely use your Stampin' Seal Plus. Okay. All right. So that's the card base. That was pretty easy. Now I've cut some, so my card base is in Poppy Parade. I've cut some Misty Moonlight, and then I've cut some of the designer series paper. And as I said, I will put the measurements on this, but let's just give you these. So the Misty Moonlight is cut at 2 inches by 1 7/8. So you need 2 pieces of those. And the designer series paper is cut at 1 7/8 by 1 3/4. And one tip to remember is if you are using directional designer series paper, just make sure you get it going the right way, because these are not squares, these are rectangles, although there's very little difference, but there is a difference between the length and the width. And so you just need to make sure that you end up with your designer series paper pattern going in the right direction. So I'm just going to adhere. You don't have to layer, so I'm adding an extra layer on this one, which is what I did in my original card. I have made this without adding so many layers, so you could put your designer series paper directly on to your card base, and then of course your designer series paper is going to be trimmed just slightly differently. So then this piece goes on here, get it kind of even, there we go. Make sure my people aren't standing on their heads or sideways. Okay, so that's the bottom. Now I've cut again another piece of Misty Moonlight. This is 4 1/8 by, let's see, 1 2 3 3 3/8, and that's for that layer. And then I've cut a piece of designer series paper. This is 4 inches by 3 1/4. And this is going to layer on here. Get my layers all done. And then it's a matter of adding the stamped images. Okay, so that's going to go on the top of your card base. I absolutely love Poppy Parade. It's got to be one of my favorite colors. And so I was thrilled when I saw the Trimming the Town designer series paper as part of this suite that includes Poppy Parade. So just a little bit different than Real Red. Yeah, so pretty. Okay, so I have 2 more pieces here. Now I'm going to start to, so this is going to be the layer on the top of my card like this. So what I want to do first is, using the dies, that way, I'm going to take, this is one of the dies that has, put that way, has the trees. And so when you use this, not only will you get trees, you will get a bit of a snowbank. So I'm just going to cut this out. I'm going to just bring my Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine in. This out of the way. And I'm just going to cut this. Now, on some of my cards, I've realized that, of course, I didn't cut this quite right, and the trees are a little lopsided. But on this one, let's see if I can get the trees straight up and down. Hopefully I'm not shaking the camera too much. All right, so that's my trees cut. So the trees, and I'll get 3 trees that I will use on the top of my card. So put this aside for just a minute, because the other thing that I want to do is stamp some of the other pieces for it. So I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink because I'm going to be coloring these with my Stampin' Blend. So you want to make sure you're using the Tuxedo Black, or Memento ink anyway. So I'm going to have a car, a little bug, a couple of the little trees that I'll color, and then a house. So I've chosen the smallest house. I don't have a very big piece of cardstock for it to fit onto, so I don't want it, so I don't need that. So I have pulled out a bunch of Stampin' Blend colors. So let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to color the roof of my house in the light Poppy Parade. And I'm not going to really, I'm really just using my blends to color. I will do a little bit of shading and blending when I get to the car, but on some of these smaller images where you know, they're really coloring in very small shapes, I'm not going to worry about the blending. Okay, so there's my roof. Now I'm going to, and I think I'm going to give it a dark Poppy Parade door. You can color these whatever. I'm just using one because I love these colors, but two, they coordinate with the designer series paper that I've chosen. So, and a pretty door. I'd love to have a red door like that. All right, and now I'm going to use the light Misty Moonlight to color my house. Now, I realized when I was using this the other day that this is actually almost exactly the same color as my house. And I was really happy. This is the whole in color suite that of colors that Stampin' Up! Came up with this year are amazing. They all coordinate so lovely together. So if you haven't looked at those, yeah, you'll be finding if you're probably using them on a regular basis because they coordinate so well with all of the other colors and they coordinate together. You don't really have to think about it. All right, so there's my house. Now I'm going to use this is Dark Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to color in the windows so it makes it look like somebody's home when the lights are on. All right, now I'm going to use the light Daffodil Delight in the windows of my car. There we go. All right, and I'm going to color the car in the light Poppy Parade. And on this one, I will go and add some dark in with a little bit of blending. Again, it's a pretty small image, so it's kind of a pink car, actually. I guess it seems to me that these Volkswagen Bugs actually should be red. All right, so let's take the dark Poppy Parade, and I'm going to do the fenders dark. And I'll just do these lines to give it a little bit of depth there. And I'm going to use the light Misty Moonlight on the wheels, and then I'll just leave the inside of the wheels white. Okay, so for the trees, we use the dark Crumb Cake for the trunk, and then the light Old Olive for this. And I'm going to bring in the dark Old Olive just to give it a little bit of depth on the bottom of the trees. But first I'll color this. All right, and then let's get my dark. This is the dark Old Olive. I'm just going to put a little line of dark. And then I'll blend this to try and get rid of the line. Okay. Close those off. Now let's bring back my out of the way. Okay, so here's my die. I'm so looking forward. Have you ordered your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine? I absolutely love mine as a demonstrator. We were able to get our hands on these in early August, but they became available for all customers as of September the 2nd, I guess it was, to last Tuesday. So definitely available for you to order. The other thing I'm so excited of, I have ordered it, but we weren't able to get it in advance, so I'm still waiting for my order to arrive, is the magnetic cutting plate. So you have to be a little careful when you don't have the magnetic cutting plate to cut so your dies don't slip. You can use Post-it notes, but hopefully I'm going to be okay with this. I guess I could have cut my tree out at the same time. All right, so there's my house and my car. Now we'll get the little tree and cut these two trees out quickly. You have to kind of hold your breath. There we go. Hold it tight so it doesn't slip. Yes, Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is the standard size. We're still waiting for the mini, but this is amazing. It is so smooth. And the cool thing is that it folds up for storage. So if you put you have small storage space in your crafting space, this is great because it folds up. The ends fold up on it. If you travel to retreats or crops or that kind of thing, this is perfect for traveling. And I will just show you that in just a second. Okay, let's get the die back so I don't lose it. Take my plates off and just set them off to the side. And then you can see, it's going to make a noise. Sorry about that. Let's try and do this because it does snap. So isn't that cute? It just all packages up. And it's got a nice big handle on for carrying. And then you can put that away, or you can take it with you on your wherever you're traveling to for crafting. It's perfect. Okay, so let's take this piece. Before I adhere this down, the stamp set comes with these little stars. So I'm just gonna make it look like it's night. I've got the misty moonlight and I'm gonna stamp some stars. So I use the card. Well, I use white as the background on the card that I showed originally. So this is what I did, but I actually did put the stars on there. And I used Pool Party for that one, but we're going to use Misty Moonlight for this one. There, that's probably enough stars. All right, so I'm going to use dimensionals on this to pop it up. Okay, and then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals on the trees just so that they're popped up as well. The trees are too small to be able to use the regular size dimensionals, so the mini ones work perfectly for that. The back's off. So I don't know if it's warm where you are. It's feeling like we're going to have a lovely weekend here. So it feels a little odd to be making holiday cards, but there. Okay, so those are popped up. And then we're going to take and put some dimensionals on the back of my house, my car. And I'm going to use the mini dimensionals on the trees because they're just a little bit small for the big ones. All right, so let's put a tree in behind. So we'll put a tree there. Put my house on. The car. And I have one more. Where should I put this? This will just go here. There we go. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is I'm taking some Wink of Stella and I'm just going to color the trees just to give them a little bit of sparkle. Just love my Wink of Stella. And the other thing I'm going to do is these are the see, this is all I have left of these. They're called all the trimmings embellishments, and so I don't have a lot left, but they come the large and small circles in the Poppy Parade and white, and then these very cute little stars that you can put. So I'm going to put one on the top of my trees by the house that I colored. I'm going to have to stock up on these. I really like the embellishments. Okay, so let's put those aside. Bring my card back. And I'm just going to adhere this down. I've popped up everything, so I don't want to put this up too much. So I'm just going to put it, now I'm going to put it close to the top, center it in the side to side, and then put it close to the top because I have a sentiment to get on here yet. What else do I want to put on here? Let's see. I need some Whisper White cardstock, which of course I didn't cut. All right, let's bring back my trimmer. And I'm just going to cut a piece of Whisper White for the inside of the card. So the inside of the card is a standard size. So it is 4 inches by 5 1/4. That. Okay. Put that off to the side. And then let's take, I'm just going to take the little tree and stamp a couple of little trees down in the corner. And I'll quickly color these. There we go. And the crumb cake. Okay. All right. I'll bring my card base in. So this just will go on the inside of the card. You can put a sentiment in here. I'm not going to do that, but you can easily put a sentiment in. Now, the sentiment for the front of the card, I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 1/2 inch wide. What I'm going to do is I've pulled the Season's Greetings sentiment, which is from the In the Pines stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that in Misty Moonlight. But what I want to show you is a little trick. So I'm going to be using the, oh gosh, I looked the name up of this. This is a new punch. I get it wrong all the time. So rather than give you the wrong name, let me just look. It's called the Banners Pick-a-Punch. And so what's really cool about this punch is you can get the banner end. So either the kind of arrow or the arrow is just going opposite directions. And it gives you 3 different measurements. So the most inside measurements is 1/2 inch, and then 3/4 inch, and then 1 inch. And so it's a really great way to make kind of the perfect banner ended a label for your sentiment. Now, a trick I learned, because sometimes if you just cut your piece of cardstock in the length you want it, you may not get the banners, the ends, and the sentiment in exactly kind of the middle. And so what you can do is measure the length of your sentiment. So my sentiment is about 2 inches. So you add a 1/2 inch to each end. So that would make my strip that I need 3 inches. So if my sentiment was 2 inches, and then I'm going to add a 1/2 inch on each end. So that makes a length of 3 inches for this little strip of Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the middle. There we go. Close that up so I don't get my fingers in it. And then when you put this in, one other trick is, so you're going to just slide this in. One thing you want to make sure is that you slide it in until it touches and it's even on the end. So, and then you can punch. So just slide it all the way in until it reaches the end, and then you get your tags cut, and then your sentiment is in the center of it. So just a little bit of a tip to make your sentiment be in the middle of your punched out. Now I'm just going to take a couple of dimensionals and I'm just going to put this on the bottom like that. I know what I'm going to do because I've got this popped up quite a ways. So here's another tip for you. If you want to pop up a piece of cardstock, or in this case Whisper White, a little higher than what you've got your others. So I put one dimensional on. So then I peeled off a second dimensional and put it on, and now it's 2 dimensionals thick, and now it will pop up even more so that you can, especially because I've got that already over a popped up piece. And then I'm just going to take one of these little poppy parade circles and then go put on each end of my sentiment. Oops, off there. There we go. Okay, so there's my card. So again, this is the Dutchdoor Fancy Fold card. You could put some, I'll bring the other one in just to give you a comparison. Here's another one that I did. I've been busy with this. So they're somewhat similar. On this one, what I did for a sentiment, rather than stamping, I used the all the trimmings designer series paper that comes with it, and it's got 2 pieces that you get are all different colors of sentiments, holiday sentiments in every language you can imagine. And so they are 1/8 of an inch wide when you cut them out. And so I just went through and cut out some sentiments for that one. And I used some of the ribbon. This is the Poppy Parade ribbon. It comes in a 2 packages. One is Poppy Parade and one is Old Olive. So I just used a little bit of ribbon on this one. Oh, and I could put one of the trees on top of the car on that one. So similar on the inside. This was one I did yesterday. I didn't do the multi-layer. So this is just a single layer of designer series paper on the cardstock, but it looks pretty similar to the card that I just did today. And then this was, of course, my card that I did today. So there we go. So I will definitely put the measurements underneath. I will link to my blog post that I did a week or so ago because it also has the measurements and the instructions on it. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you could subscribe. I'd love you to subscribe to my blog so that I do post blog posts 3 times a week and put instructions and supply lists. So would love for you to follow my blog if you want to do so. So thank you very much for joining, and hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.